Hey, my name is Luke, also known as Instrument Maniac, and you may have seen this video where I play 111 instruments. Today I thought I'd step through my whole collection and just give you one quick fact about each one. There's 113 now in total, so let's get started. This C flute was my first instrument I started playing in 2001 at the age of 10. This is an electric piano that someday I'm hoping to take jazz piano lessons on. Accordion, it was made in Italy. I got one of the bellows repaired recently, and I've never seen so many accordions in my life. This is a cornet. It's really similar to the B-flat trumpet, but the way the bore is shaped, softer and warmer sound. Ride cymbal, it's part of a drum kit usually. I love using a brush on this. It gives a very film noir, jazzy kind of vibe. Peavy bass, made in the 90s. It's got this cool carbon fiber neck, so it's like ultra reinforced. This is my German violin. It's about 100 years old. I took violin lessons for 6 years, and for me, it's one of the hardest string instruments to play. Hi-hat, it's part of a drum kit. The reason I record all my percussion instruments separately as videos is because I don't have enough space to leave a drum kit set up in this apartment. Sand blocks, they're made by Suzuki. I used them a lot in the Thomas the Tank Engine themes when I did them because they sound like a train chuffing along. This is a plastic soprano recorder. It's pretty much what you'd find in an elementary school. Claves, they're a Latin percussion instrument. Tiny finger cymbal on a string. This is like the cheap plastic glockenspiel that every YouTuber has, but it sounds really good for the price. For me, oboe is the hardest woodwind instrument to play because the reed is just so dang small. Alto sax is the second instrument I started to learn at about age 12. I did it because people made fun of me for playing flute as a guy, but little did they know it would spiral into all of this. Djembe from Senegal with really cool intricate carvings on the bottom. Clarinet is the third instrument I learned how to play, and it shares a lot of similar fingerings with flute and saxophone, so it makes it pretty easy to go between them. This is a slide whistle. I had an Easter egg in that video. I said it was made by Hermes. Bass clarinet. I was in a Grammys ad in 2009 from YouTube. If you haven't looked at it, go check it out. This is called a mark tree or bar chimes. They make that cool This is a nylon string guitar. It's commonly used for classical guitar music. Banjo, I don't use it as much as I thought I would. I guess there is still time for me to enter a bluegrass era on this YouTube channel. This is a wooden keyed flute from the mid 1800s. It's kind of like the grandfather to the modern C flute. It has a lot softer and kind of warmer sound. It's great for blending. I love playing this more than the normal flute now. Rusty saw from the garage with a handle attached. I never planned on learning how to play this, but then I got the idea for the Ghost Fight cover, and I spent 2 months over the summer just practicing it. Rickenbacker Bass that I got recently. Love how thick the sound is. Scott Pilgrim knew what he was doing. Dizi Flute from Chinatown in San Francisco. I need to buy a new membrane to make the buzzing sound because right now I just have tape over it. This is the first percussion instrument I ever got. It's this pearl snare drum. This is a Puerto Rican percussion instrument originally made out of a hollowed gourd, and it makes a cool like ratchety sound. Woodblock, and it's pretty straightforward. These are Sleigh Bells, and shout out to all the musicians out there that have to store these all the time for that one winter song you're gonna do every year. Whistle used by Metro Police in England. This is a train whistle. When I made Thomas the Tank Engine covers all the time, I got a lot of mileage out of this. Native American flute in D, and it's got a great soft woody sound. This metal version of the Cabasa was actually invented by the founder of the instrument company Latin Percussion. Teeny tiny E-flat clarinet, and it's one of the hardest woodwind instruments to play in tune. This is a bike horn. Do people even put these on their bikes? Stylophone, it's like a small analog synthesizer that you play with a little stylus. The origin of the Vibraslap is actually the jawbone of a donkey or a zebra, so I thought it was pretty fitting to make it the thumbnail for Bone Trousel. The smaller double-strung harp, and the strings on each side make it easier to play repeated notes without buzzing. Since I don't have space for a full xylophone, I thought I'd just get a teeny tiny one. I started on alto sax, so tenor's always been a little harder for me. I tend to squeak a lot on this. Acme whistle, and it's got a little spinner inside you can either exhale or inhale. Plastic tenor recorder by Yamaha, and it is like the most uncomfortable instrument to play because the thumb hole is so high, getting major carpal tunnel syndrome. Just a couple of tiny egg shakers. This is a Piccolo Trumpet. I love the brighter and thinner sound it has compared to the normal B-flat trumpet. For my 111 instruments video, I based my expression holding the mandolin on Miguel from El Dorado. This is an Alto recorder made out of plastic. I can't wait to sell it. I used to tour around the US with this classical music group called the Rose Ensemble, and for their shows I had to learn how to play the Cajun triangle. vintage omnichord from the 80s, and I freaking love this instrument. It has the best warm analog sound. It's a half-size cello I bought for a YouTube video. It was kind of a joke, and then I ended up just keeping it. It makes really good wall art though. This is a wooden Soprano recorder. It's higher than the Soprano recorder I showed you. I used it recently in my Lost Woods cover from Zelda. This is the Contrabass Clarinet. It's one of the biggest instruments I own, and it's 2 octaves below the normal clarinets. The closest I'll ever come to having an upright piano. A soprano ukulele by Martin. It gives those great Hawaiian vibes. The bass flute is one of my favorite instruments of all time. It's an octave below the normal flute, and it has this really rich, cool, creamy, whispery sound to it. This is a percussion ratchet. It makes like a cranking sound. A jaw harp that to me sounds like a bass at an EDM show. This is a composite piccolo that I used throughout high school in our pep band to play outside. It's an octave above the normal flute. This is a trombone. Trombone's a really difficult instrument. I'm really bad at trombone, so I have a lot of respect for you tromboners out there. This is a full-size pedal harp by Lion & Healy. It's the largest instrument in the apartment. I've been taking harp lessons for about 4 to 5 years now, and I practice harp for an hour every day. English horn is my favorite reed instrument by far. Playing bassoon for a number of years actually helped me feel more comfortable when I transitioned to this. The original Kenny G machine. Since I started on alto, I feel pretty comfortable playing the soprano sax. This is a wooden soprano recorder. Over the past couple of years, I've been slowly buying a full family of wooden recorders because I like the sound a little bit better than the plastic ones. This is a kazoo, and kazoo enthusiasts tried to make it like the national instrument of the USA. I love this burn from 1885. In the Telegraph, they refer to the kazoo as a nondescript musical instrument of torture. Wooden bass recorder. It's one of the lowest instruments in the recorder family, and it goes 1 note below the alto flute. This is an acoustic guitar with steel strings. If you're listening to singer-songwriter music or bluegrass music, this is probably what you're hearing. A couple of maracas for when I need that big shaker energy. This is a euphonium. It has a similar range to a trombone, but it has a wider and warmer sound. It's really good for blending in groups or adding kind of more oomph to your lines. A washboard for when you're sick of doing laundry. I don't know why, but I ended up buying like the most ornate, hammered looking cowbell ever. Alto recorder by Mook. The lower the recorder, the better it sounds when it's made out of wood. My small MIDI keyboard, this is what I do a lot of my arrangements and transcriptions on. The tenor ukulele is lower than the soprano, and it sounds kind of like if you fused soprano ukulele with a nylon string guitar. Native American flute in the key of G. I love the sound of these, but the limited range makes them hard to use in a lot of videos. French horn that I got at a pawn shop for like 80 bucks. It looks like it was dragged behind a car. Tambourine. Whenever I see these, I think of Kimbra's Cameo Lover video. It's like a huge tambourine ad. A double bass by Shen, probably my luckiest Craigslist purchase to date. Conch shell. I bought this for the Ballad of the Windfish cover with real instruments, but I've ended up using it a lot more in other stuff. Mounted castanets. I used to have hand ones, but those were just too difficult to play. Here's my smaller triangle. My Czech violin from the 1800s. When I record larger string pieces using both of these violins, the little differences between the two of them helps the string section sound a lot fuller. This is my second flute that I bring to gigs. I got this on Craigslist for about $20 and it's worth $1,500. It has a silver head joint, so always check Craigslist. Viola was technically my first instrument in 2000, but I was so bored with it at the time that my parents switched me to flute after the first year. I have learned to really appreciate it now, and I love how it fills out every string section it's added to. My little songbird ocarina, it has the Zelda logo up in the top there. This is your average diatonic harmonica used for blues music, and this is the fancier chromatic harmonica. This little lever switches it so you can hit all the accidentals. A solid Hokama kalimba. I like this model because it sounds like little bells. I use these chimes in my Mystery of Love cover, but they're a little hard to work into stuff because they just cut through the whole track. The incredible Soprano Saxophone. It's higher than a soprano, and it can either be this beautiful regal soaring sound or like a wacky toy. The automaton, one of the best instruments invented. Between a C flute and a bass flute, the alto flute is probably my favorite sound of the flute family. The auto harp is like an acoustic version of the Omni chord. You strum the strings and then press these buttons to play the different chords. Desk bells that are kind of a kid's instrument, but I guess I use them more as real instruments these days. The Flexitone, which was popularized by the GTA San Andreas theme. Wooden tenor recorder by Mook. Look at how much more ergonomically correct these fingerings are with the keys. Great work, Mook. This is the bass xylophone. It's like my solution to having a marimba in an apartment. This is my electric guitar. I'm hoping to use it more in 2024. I haven't used it too much. The alto clarinet is becoming increasingly rare. It's between a B-flat clarinet and a bass clarinet, and I actually composed a piece for it last year. Native American flute in the key of E. I think it's made out of cedar. I just wish these had thumb holes on them. The range is so limited. This is a small vibraphone. It's one of the better finds from Craigslist. I started learning cello in college at the age of 18. I took lessons for about 6 to 7 years. For me, this is the most comfortable bowed string instrument to play. Also, if you're wondering why there's a reed in my bridge, that's because it's a pickup to a 1/4 inch out. So this holds it in place like an old clarinet reed. A plastic Sopranino recorder. Now this is truly an instrument of torture. Pearl Glockenspiel, you'll see these in marching bands a lot of the time. Kind of a denser sound than the toy one you saw before. This is a wooden Yamaha piccolo I got last year. The wave cut head joint really helps me play the low notes. My favorite version of a uke, it's a combination of like a banjo and a ukulele, and they used these a lot in the 1920s. It's called a banjolele. A B-flat trumpet. I love the sound of this instrument, but it's so hard to practice it in an apartment. This is a plastic bass recorder by Yamaha, and it looks like a piece of PVC plumbing. My lover harp is still at my parents' house. I bring it home every year during Christmas to play during the holidays. An OG vintage Stylophone 350S. This is the true warm analog sound. I love this thing. My nice open hole Pearl C flute. If you hear flute on this channel, it's probably this one. I don't think people quite understood on my last video, but I literally have 3 flutes. I played bassoon in high school, college, and some of grad school, so I was so excited to get a Fox Renard bassoon last year. They're like the Rolls Royce of bassoon. The tone and the response on this thing is just another level. Instrument number 112 is this theremin that I just got. I used it recently on the Stickerbush Symphony cover from Donkey Kong, and I'm so excited to use it in more upcoming videos. And finally, instrument number 113 is this double bawu, which is a free reed instrument. So I'm excited to use this one in some upcoming videos as well. There you have it. That was all the instruments in my collection. If you want to see the Excel document that I used to organize that whole video, here it is. It was a nightmare. If you like watching this and you want to see more of these wacky instrument videos, consider joining the bandwagon and click subscribe so that YouTube lets you know every time that I post a new video. I've also spent the past few months designing some cool merch with my dad. So if you want, there's an Instrument Maniac shirt that's got the name right here and then a cool flute character on the back. Anyways, thank you again for watching this year's instrument collection video. My name is Luke, and I will see you in 2 weeks on Wednesday.